standing at the El Dorado County Historical Museum, located next to the fairgrounds in Placerville. The county museum was started by volunteers to preserve and collect artifacts from the El Dorado County history. The museum is open to the public, and along with the county museum and its exhibits, we have a archives and research room where people come to research the history of their families, of events, and the people of El Dorado County. The El Dorado County Historical Museum's research room has, over the years, collected documents and archives associated with the county, and we have research volunteers who are very skilled at helping people find any information they're looking for as it relates to El Dorado County. We have records that go back to 1850. We have a large collection of historical photographs, over 26,000 images that have been digitized. We have a large collection of historical maps, parcel maps, as well as trails, roads, mining maps, and we also hold regularly throughout the year a Mining History Day where people are welcome to come and ask about specific mines that they're interested in that were here in El Dorado County. It's a wonderful resource for anyone who's interested in researching the history of a particular person, place, or thing in El Dorado County.
Mud Springs, later known as El Dorado, was an important camp on the Carson Immigrant Trail, opened in 1848. The springs were a dependable water source along the trail. However, due to the stock watering at the spring, the surrounding area became muddy, hence the name Mud Springs. By 1850, Mud Springs had become a center of a mining district and the crossroads for freight and stage lines. Many rich mines received their mining supplies through delivery to El Dorado. One of the first businesses was the Mud Springs House, built in the winter of 1849 by James and Ann Thomas. 3 log buildings were connected, covering about 75 feet along the Immigrant Road. There were also 5 log cabins, stables, and corrals. One of the earliest hotels in town was the Nevada House, located at the corner of Pleasant Valley Road and Highway 49. From April 1860 to June 1860, it was a remount station of the Central Overland Pony Express. The early town included stores, blacksmith shops, a butcher shop, saloons, and several doctors. In 1854, a newspaper was published in Mud Springs, but unfortunately, no issues of the paper are known to have survived. The Oriental Hotel was built in 1852. It was large enough to host balls and other social events. It later became the Hotel California and then the Hill Hotel. Tragically, it burned in 1954. The El Dorado County Office of Education Charter Prep School is now on the site. The Masonic Lodge in El Dorado was established in 1854. Their brick temple building was constructed in 1862 on Main Street. It was destroyed in the 1923 fire but was rebuilt using the same bricks, and today is the El Dorado Grocery with the Masonic Hall occupying the second floor. In the 1860 census, 699 or 33% of the Mud Springs Township population were Chinese. The Chinese lived in the western end of town. Most were miners, but there were also Chinese merchants. The stone building on the northwest corner of Pleasant Valley Road and Oriental Street was built in 1857 as the China Stores. Later it became the Hill Feed and Grain Store, owned by Seymour Hill. The El Dorado Community Church, first named the Union Church, was established in 1857. The old church building burned in the 1923 fire. In 1924, a new church was built on the original foundation. The original bell was salvaged and reused. The Placerville and Sacramento Valley Railroad was formed in 1877. In 1888, the line, then named the Sacramento and Placerville Railroad, was completed to Placerville, with the El Dorado Depot a stop on the way. Passenger service was discontinued in the 1930s, but lumber, lime, and produce were carried until about 1987. Today, the El Dorado Western Railroad offers train rides from the new El Dorado station, built by local volunteers. Dr. M.D. Hinman was one of the first physicians to establish a practice in the town of El Dorado. His drugstore carried medicines, paints, oils, dyestuffs, chemicals, garden seeds, and patent medicine. Dr. Hinman's drugstore is still standing and has long been known as Poor Red's. The El Dorado School was organized in 1858. At one time, there were 48 children in 8 grades in one large room, and only one teacher. During the 1954 fire, the roof of the schoolhouse caught fire. The schoolhouse was saved, but the bell tower and school bell had to be removed. The bell was lost for over 50 years, but after years of searching, has been returned to the schoolhouse and can be seen in the new bell tower stand in front of the school, which is now the El Dorado Community Center. The September 17, 1923 fire started at the California Door Company in Diamond Springs about 10:30 in the morning, where brush was being burned to clear a space for new buildings. The high wind swept the blaze out of control and burned over an area 3 miles wide and 10 miles long, destroying the town of El Dorado.
The pioneer town of El Dorado was practically wiped out by the fire on Monday evening, when the flames from the burning forest, driven by the heavy wind, rushed down upon the town. In the space of a few hours, nearly 30 buildings had been totally destroyed, with nearly everything in them. Furniture, automobiles, clothing, store stock, etc., all went up in smoke. Every pump and well in the town was manned, and every pail and tub and pan was in use to convey water and to wet sacks and coats used to smother the fires as they started. One cottage that was saved was on fire 11 times in 20 minutes, and working around it and on the roof were day laborers, county officials, farmers, merchants, and even newspaper men. El Dorado is certainly a forlorn-looking place, and there is ruin where stood happy homes surrounded by gardens and flowers. Placerville Republican, September 19th, 1923.
Today, the pioneer spirit still exists in El Dorado, with the designation of the railroad depot acreage as the El Dorado County Railroad History Center and Park. Planning, design, and construction will make this facility in El Dorado one of the premier destinations for years to come.